Be off the air, but
Popping bomb.
Yeah, pop it, Fitz.
Twisty.
Oh,
I'm just going to go out and say it. Joey Chestnut has to be on the pub.
Has
Not
to be.
pub more.
Has
I mean,
to be.
Has to be.
Dramatic, man. That was a journey.
Fitzmagic in September is like one of the hottest athletes in the world.
man, I'm gonna get real theological on y'all. I think we're all a little soft and misunderstood. I'll just be real honest.
Game of baseball, but it has different rules that go along with it that kind of go behind our underlying theme of getting fans involved, keeping fans.
if I catch it
interested.
in my beer, does that still count?
10 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, episode 101 coming for you live. We've got all the pub is here, minus Preacher Man Fitz. He's finishing exams right now, so we'll pour some out for him. But we have an MLS legend right now with us, Jeff Attinella. Let's go, Jeff.
Nice.
Hey, what a welcome. What a welcome. I appreciate that.
Hey, man, anytime. Thank you so much for hopping on. And I know Matt is excited. He's over in England, and he kind of gets bored talking to himself with some footy action. I try to kick in there, and I always drop the ball on him. So I know Matt's pumped for this one.
No pun intended, right?
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah. Well, Jeff, let's just go ahead and start with like kind of your journey, your career. You grew up in Florida. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Clearwater.
grew up in Clearwater, Florida.
Awesome.
So back home now, which has been good. But it took me it was quite the journey to get all the way back here. So it's been pretty fun so far.
Yeah, I can imagine, because when I think of you and like I remember seeing you play games, you're up northeast or northwest Minnesota or Portland. Golly, I cannot talk. The Timberwolves playing for MLS. And dude, how was your just journey coming from Clearwater, bouncing around MLS, and then you kind of got on loan over in Europe a little bit and then back to MLS? How was that?
Yeah, I mean, my journey was pretty interesting because it's pretty unique nowadays. The way that the system is built now in America, it's all very, if you're not into it at a young age, or if you're not very, committed to soccer at a young age and you're not tied into a club, then you're kind of going to get left behind. And I was the exact opposite, right? It took me about my sophomore year or so of high school to really commit to soccer, because I enjoyed playing other sports, and, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And then once it kind of became time to commit to something, soccer, I love basketball, love baseball, but I couldn't hit, out of the infield. And then, in basketball, it was between soccer and basketball that I was going to try to stick with and get to college with. And, when I really looked at things, and I was like 6'1", 6'1", kind of short, not really that fast, not insanely athletic, but, all those things kind of added up to being a pretty good soccer goalie. So once I committed to soccer, that was kind of, the path that I chose, and then was fortunate enough to get called into the local college here, USF. They came and scouted me at a high school game, which again is pretty odd for, the soccer world, because it's kind of a dying art playing high school soccer. And then from there, man, like, to be honest, I never really expected to be playing pro. It wasn't really ever, it really wasn't ever my dream. I didn't really know what that whole life was about. Like I said, I grew up, really focused on other sports, and those are the sports I understood, because I was a really big fan of everything else. So I didn't really understand the dynamics of the soccer world. And then, my junior year of college, I was fortunate enough to be named first team All-American. And then that's when people started calling me, and they're like, hey, you might actually want to start looking into this a little bit. So then it was just kind of from there, I got drafted to Salt Lake and actually got released by Salt Lake after my senior year in college, after I graduated from college. Came here, played 2 years for the Rowdies, which would be kind of like playing in the second or third division over in Europe. Had some success here. We won a championship, and then Salt Lake brought me back. Did 4 years there. Backed up Nick Raimondo, who was, he's pretty much the best goalie that MLS has had ever, maybe, at least in terms of the records are concerned.
For sure.
So I learned a lot from him, and then through some crazy rules in the MLS, I ended up out in Portland and had a lot of success out there. And, we made 2 cup finals. I got to play in one of them. And then, unfortunately, the last 3 years of my career, the injury bug hit me pretty hard. And, from there, it was kind of I have a lot of other interests outside of playing soccer. And, especially for my family, I think it was kind of time for us to come home. So after the injury bug kind of hit me a little bit, I decided to hang him up. But, 11 years in total, which is pretty good.
Yeah, dude, for sure. You kind of, it's Your journey is just so unique, like you said, because when I think of like soccer players now, I'm a high school coach and teacher, and a lot of our good soccer players don't even play for the high school. They'd rather go play for clubs and travel ball, which is just, to me, it's mind blowing because like me, Devin, and Tim all played football, and that's it. Like you had high school football, that's the way out. For soccer, it's completely different.
It's completely different, man. And to be honest, I don't like it because I understand it. You know, you're trying to compete on the world scale, and that's what it's like in the world. But in other places in the world, it's like you either play soccer or you go to school. Like those are the two tickets. Those are your path that you're going to either pick, soccer or school. But in the States, you know, people have so many different options that I think when you cut people away from everything else and you tell them that they have to focus on soccer or they can't play for their school, which is a fun thing to do, right? Like the fun side of sports is kind of going away at the youth world. It's all about trying to become a professional at a young age. You know, then you're kind of limiting what people can do. And I've seen a bunch of people who are good players get super burnt out. So, you know, what the right answer is, I'm not sure. We have a bunch of people playing in Europe, so I could be way wrong, but that's how I feel about it.
I think you're absolutely right. Like I've seen so many kids that I went to high school with and they just quit. Like I'm just tired. I do it for 12 months out of the year, 365 pretty much, since there were 4 or 5, and then you get burned down on it. But at the flip side of it, obviously some guys are doing what they're supposed to go on, you know, and they're getting over in Europe and playing in these major leagues like, you know, our boy Christian Pulisic. But I don't know. I don't know if there's a perfect way to fix it. I really don't. I was hoping you would have the answer, Jeff, and then we could make money off your idea. And then, you know.
No, listen, if I had the answer, I'd be doing something completely different with my life. I think they'd be calling me to, you know, be helping U.S. soccer somewhere along the lines.
Dude,
but
yeah.
That's just kind of, I think that's also just kind of the transition that the sport is in this country is, you know, that's one thing that's exciting. That's another side of it that's exciting about with the World Cup coming up is now our entire team, we're young, super, super young, but we have a lot of young guys that are playing for the best clubs in the world.
For sure.
And we never had that before. So the system is definitely working for those guys. But, you know, I'm kind of more of a well-rounded, you know, think about people as a whole instead of just like as a soccer player. And I feel bad for all the people that kind of get left behind when they commit all of their time and commit everything to trying to make it to the professional ranks. And, you know, it's not easy to get there. So I've been with a lot of people that, you know, forego going to school, going to a great university and getting an education to go play pro for 1 year. And then, you know, they can't really hack it and they lose their eligibility. So it's a tough call. It's a tough call as a parent, what you want your kid to do. But, you know, if you end up playing for Chelsea and, you know, if you're the Christian Pulisics of the world, then that's definitely the right decision.
Dude, for sure. The more you're talking to, like, the more similarities I see between like soccer and baseball. And like, once high school is over, you got a choice, either go try to make some money or you got to go to university and get your degree and then make some money. And it's kind of damn if you do, damn if you don't. There's no perfect answer for any particular person. Every situation is different. So that's tough.
Yeah, no, and kind of like baseball too, man. The way that the system is getting set up here in America, there's about 3 or 4 lower division leagues now, and the grind to get out of the lower divisions. Like I was one of the lucky ones that, you know, my position kind of was one of those positions where if you're a goalie, getting games is the most important thing when you're young. So the fact that I was actually getting games helped me out. But, you know, if you're a field player and you're playing in those lower divisions, it's not an easy climb, you know, similar to baseball. There's just so many people and it's so easy to get lost in the shuffle. So it's a good comparison, I guess. I mean, we'll see if we win a World Cup in the next 8 years and we can replay this back and tell me how wrong I was.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know Matt's got a floor of questions for you. I don't want to step on any of his questions. So Matt, take it away, brother.
Yes, I just really want to go in towards, you know, the playoff run that you guys had in 2018 with the Timbers. You know, you guys finished 5th of the season and you're not really expected to really progress that further, but you had some unbelievable games going forwards, didn't you? I mean, the 4-4 against Seattle and then extra time as well. It's, you know, some crazy games. Talk to me about those 2 games against Seattle Sounders, because that's a huge rivalry game as well, right?
Yeah, those are big. So, you know, that year was kind of my coming out party, which was sweet. You know, what you're talking about during the playoffs. And, you know, especially during that year we had a group that, you know, we finished in 5th, but we were kind of gelling and getting hot at the right time, right? You talk about that all the time in sports, that, you know, the timing of getting the timing of hitting your stride is pretty much everything when you're headed into a playoff type situation. So in that year, we were fortunate enough to, win the play-in game, which is always a tough one on the road. But then the chance to play Seattle, that's like our derby. Until that's been the biggest. Seattle Portland has been the biggest rivalry in American soccer for the history of American soccer. So to be able to play them in the playoffs, and then the first, the home game, I think we got them 2-1, and then the second leg, things got a little bit crazy. I actually, I dropped a cross that led to a goal, and then that was about the 70th minute. So then once that happened, everything just kind of opened up, because you know how it is in the second leg of games. Everybody's just kind of waiting for somebody to make a mistake, and I had the honor of being that mistake in the moment.
Yeah.
Once that goal happened, the game opened up, and then it just became a shootout. We ended up going 2-1, going into overtime, and then in overtime, both teams scored a goal. So then we went 3-2, and then we ended up going into penalties, which I was able to get my hand on one. I like to say that I helped push one of them wide, even though I didn't touch it. But at the same time, I had a good read on it, and goalies like to take credit for just about everything. So to be able to, get that save, and, to be able to knock off Seattle in their home stadium, and, taunt the fans a little bit, who, obviously are giving you hell the whole game, especially as a goalie, because fans like to just sit right on top of you. So, yeah. I mean, it was a good moment, man. And then, after that, we went on to upset Kansas City, who was supposed to be the team that was going to make the finals. And it was just kind of one of those miracle runs that, you look back at your career, or, as a fan, you look back on and think how special it was. Unfortunately, we had the displeasure of playing in Atlanta for a cup final, where they had, 80,000 people, and it's an NFL stadium. So they're pumping in noise, and they got like fake trains going on, and, it was absolutely nothing like a soccer game. And, so, that was kind of a suicide mission, but, the climb to get to that game, and just kind of the run that we went on, is something that was super special.
No, yeah. I mean, that win against Seattle must have been your highlights of your career. And then it kind of is a shame that you didn't get it done at Atlanta, because then that would be the proper ultimate winning away, as a championship run, doing Kansas City, doing Seattle, and then, against 80,000 Atlanta fans. That must have been so tough. Like, I'm sure Portland took a few fans out there, but 80,000 fans all rooting against you, that must have been real, proper hard.
So it was in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which I don't know if anybody's ever been there. It's a massive, just an impressive football stadium. And Atlanta only allowed 300 tickets to Portland fans. And they were in the corner of the 300s. You had to squint to see the little amount of green that was allowed into that building. But yeah, I mean, looking back at it, in that final, they scored the first goal, which is always tough. And, they scored off of a turnover, off of one of our mistakes. And, just the way that soccer is, we weren't able to get that quick answer. Their goalie had a couple good saves, and then they scored pretty much right out of the second half. And after that, we kind of, at least in my mind, after that, I was kind of like, well, probably not going to be our day. But, to be able to go through that experience and play on that type of stage. And at the time, I'm not sure if the record's been broken, but at the time, it was the most attended and most viewed MLS final in league history. So for me to even be a part of that game was something that I look back on as, pretty special. We just lost the final two this past year. I was injured, but I knew I was retiring. So I'd spoken to them about retiring, a couple months before. So everybody was in the know. And then the talk, behind the scenes, when I was talking to the coaches and the GMs, it's all about, oh, you're going to go out we got to get you out a champion. And I'm like, yeah, totally. I'm like, it's going to be awesome. And then we lost that one at home. I wasn't playing in it, but we lost that one at home in PKs. So that one was too. We lost my first final in PKs too, 10 shooters. So I went over 3. I went over 3 and called it quits. Struck out.
To make it 3 times, that's impressive. A little Buffalo Bills-esque. Not necessarily 3 in a row, but it's pretty impressive though.
Yeah. I mean, I look back at it at the time. I don't think I really appreciated, the teams that I was on and how much success, the teams I was on had. We made, I don't think I missed the playoffs my entire career. My first time when I was on Salt Lake, I was coming at the tail end of one of the best core groups that MLS has ever had. The Kyle Beckerman, Nick Raimondo, Ned Grabavoy, just a core group of guys that had tons and tons of success in the MLS. And I caught the very tail end of that run. And, for that to be my first year in the league, I was kind of like, oh, making the finals, easy. No problem. Like, we can do this all day. And then, for whatever reason in Salt Lake, we didn't get back. We had a coaching change and, a lot of turnover. But then once I got to Portland, we won the West my first year, the regular season. And then the next year we made the finals. So it was just kind of one of those things that the teams I was on were always, seemed to be pretty successful. And I ended up in good situations. And a lot of that happens from, luck. But at the same time, I like to think I had a good part of it, at least that 2018 run.
Oh, dude, for sure. Yeah. You give yourself all the kudos and pats on the back there.
No, I'm a goalie, man. Everyone else gets the credit. I just try to stop the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've got one more final question. It's essentially, where do you see yourself? Where do you see the MLS comparing to the leagues in Europe? If I'm taking Atlanta United and I play them against Fulham or Bournemouth or say Watford, who you say is going to come out on top of that?
It's a tough call because, I think if it's a one-off game, I would take a top MLS team to give a good run. I really would. I think that it's very hard to compare because the grind of the MLS is very different from the grind in England. Because, in the MLS, you're talking about traveling the entire country, right? The entire country of the United States, which is a massive country, and you're playing 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, there's salary caps and there's different rules in place that the parity of the MLS is what they go for, right? They want it to kind of be like the NFL where on any given day, anybody can beat anybody. Yeah. And there's rules set up so that you can't spend X amount of dollars, or like you can't just like throw money at problems and make everything go away the way that you can in other leagues. So I think that those restrictions definitely make the English game or like English teams, set up for more success. But I'm hoping, that the MLS is kind of going away from that because we're always trying to compete with Mexico, right? Like the MLS is always like, we want to be better than what's going on in Mexico. And actually this week, Seattle's going to play in the Champions League final. And I think knock on wood, but like, I think this is going to be the first time that the MLS is going to win that. And, that's a big step. And I think once the MLS is able to get that type of win, maybe you'll see a little bit more ownership willing to, open up the pocketbooks a little bit and the league be able to change the rules a little bit so that if we are going to, the tournament, I forget the name of it because we never made it, but the tournament World Cup where, you're taking the winners of all the Champions Leagues and they're going to compete.
Club World Cup.
There you go. So, if we are able to start sending teams over there, they're going to want to compete. And in order for MLS to do that, you got to open up the pocketbooks and you got to change the rules a little bit. So, I do think that there's a lot of talent in the MLS. We once beat, I was on a Division II team with the Tampa Bay Rowdies that beat Bolton when Bolton was, I think they were in the Premier League or they might have been in League One or the Championship. But so, I think that we can compete for sure, especially with the top talent. But I don't know about consistently or like how the whole top to bottom of the league works, Yeah,
because that's the reason why I asked the question was because, your former teammate Liam Ridgewell left West Brom when they got relegated from the Prem in 2014 and slid straight into, the Portland Timbers first 11. When he came in, was there a significant, could you tell that he's played in Europe? Could you tell that he's just played a different brand of football?
Yeah, totally. So Liam's an example of, he was a big signing for Portland, and then, so he got there a couple years before I was, but at the same time, like the second that I got to know Liam and like started playing with Liam, he saw the game at a higher level. Yeah. He saw the game completely differently. You could tell that he grew up around the game. And I think that we have a lot of players like that as well from different Spanish countries. If you look around at the MLS now, you're going to have a lot of guys playing the World Cup for some big countries. And, with Liam, it was just different because he spoke English. So like I was able to talk to him more and I was able to understand, the way that he was describing the game to me. And I was really able to understand what, how he saw the game and the level that he was playing at, mainly because he could talk to me, because we have a lot of really good Spanish players who I think are able to see the game at that type of level as well. And they've been in the MLS a lot longer. But, when the lines of communication, when you can't really speak to them the same way, you don't really know how they're seeing the game. You're just kind of sitting back and watching what they're doing and kind of being impressed by it.
Yeah, rightfully so. Yeah. So, we think, kind of piggybacking on that, like people look at highlight reels of like Beckham coming over here and Wayne Rooney and Zalton and that type of guys. And it seems like there's like kind of going through the motions and there's bobbing and weaving. But you're saying it's not necessarily physical skills. It's more like, hey, they just grown up around the game for so much. They don't have, hey, SportsCenter showing top 10 of baseball, football, and stuff. It's like soccer 24/7 for them. And so they just absorb all that knowledge. And so mentally there's a jump there.
Yeah, they just see the game differently. Some of those big guys when they first started coming over. And nowadays, people come over all the time. Like, you talk to these guys and they say that, if you lose a game in England, if you lose a game in Argentina, if you lose a game in Colombia, you can't go out to eat. You can't go. You can't be seen in public until you win. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that hostile. And then they joke about it in America that you can go lose a game on a Saturday, go to the grocery store on a Sunday, and people are lining up to take pictures with you. Like,
right, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just a completely different world over here for soccer, and I think that's why a lot of guys are coming over, especially because they're starting to get paid, pretty well, and the lifestyle's a little bit different. So, but when all those guys first started coming over, you're talking about the Rooneys of the world, and even before that, LA had a team where it was like Robbie Keane. I mean, the way that he played, there were some guys making runs and seeing the game completely differently than I had ever seen before. And maybe I'm an outlier in saying that, but at the same time, like, you could just tell that they saw the game differently and they had a better understanding of different situations and just a higher knowledge. You could tell that they grew up with it. That was their school, was playing the game. So nowadays, I think it's even out a little bit, unless you got like one of the real top guys, where I think people are seeing the game a little bit more the same way here in this country. But at the time when they first started coming over, it was like, damn, I don't even know what we're going to do about this guy.
Right? Yeah. Absolutely. I didn't even think about, like, we've seen the 30 for 30, the two Escobars, and you miss a PK, there's a good chance that you're not shown again. Like, it's crazy.
I've had teammates tell me they've been kidnapped off the streets. Like, I've heard like just multiple stories. I've had teammates held up at gunpoint. Like, we had a couple teammates who were down in Mexico, and then they came back to the States because pretty much like people stalked them to their bank, held them up at gunpoint, and it's wild down there. It's a completely different world. So I think that gives hope, in a not good, but like, I guess, good way for American soccer. That gives hope that people are wanting to come over. I don't condone it, but if it's happening anyway, you might as well come over and play.
Right? Yeah, we'll reap some of the benefits of that terrible stuff. Like, come on. Oh man,
let's not clip that. Let's not clip that.
Oh no, that's the first soundbite we're putting out for the trailer. I love teammates getting held up at gunpoint. It brings them to the MLS. Let's go. I'm just kidding. Tim and Devin, anything to add?
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I got a real brain buster for you here, Jeff. So you got experience on both sides. Well, my limited soccer knowledge, there's two sides of the coin, right? Over here and then over in Europe. I want to know, kind of diving a little bit more into this. You talked about like the mental aspect of the game and people growing up around it. Do you see any like physical differences? Like, was strength and conditioning different? Did people focus more on nutrition one way or the other? How were practices structured? I mean, I guess I'm just trying to figure out, like, what are they doing physically that's also different than what, MLS is.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so my experience in Europe is limited to just like a few trials when I was younger. But, in terms of just being around guys from other countries and it all just depends on the individual, really. There's guys that have come, if anything, I think the American players and the American teams in that environment that I've been around is a little bit more focused on, the weightlifting and, I guess kind of like the meathead aspect of it, I guess you would call it, the best way to compare it. And then, the other guys from the countries that just play, they're like, let's just go play. Like, I don't need to, you know what I mean? Like, I know how to play. I don't necessarily, need to get super big, or I don't need to do these certain things, or, so I really think it all just depends on the individual. At least that's kind of how it was in my experience. I don't know if that really helps to answer the question, but
yeah, no, that's kind of, I was thinking it's more the opposite for some reason. I was thinking, I don't know, since I guess it's seemingly more ingrained at a younger age that there would be, specific techniques or drills or something that they would be doing, but it kind of makes sense, if like if you tell a kid to, play multiple sports to get good at one sport. Just go play. Don't necessarily worry about I gotta get my Anconius muscle torqued up to about 60 degrees. Like, no, you just go play, and then getting your repetition is really the key there, the volume of it.
I think more than anything, the biggest problem or like the biggest gap that needs to be figured out in this country when it comes to soccer is when you're in England or when you're in these countries, the coaches have grown up around it. Like the coaches have lived the life. So you got coaches that have truly experienced a lifetime of soccer and they're coaching the youth. But in this country, there's not a generation of people that have played soccer that are coaching the youth. So, you're still looking at the coaches who are in charge of, a big developmental stage for players in this country. And, they're probably like my dad who helped coach me that was, coaching baseball and coaching football and, doing all these other things and, trying to learn, trying to learn the game as you go. So I think that for me, that's like the biggest gap that needs to be closed is trying to find those youth coaches who have grown up around the game so that the Americans are seeing the game on a different level. Because in terms of like sports science and all that, I think America is probably, as top as they come from like an actual physicality standpoint. But like until the youth coaches catch up and actually know what they're talking about, like it's not really going to get that far.
Man, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that, but I mean, it makes sense. Like, I always refer back to the NFL for some reason, but like Little League and NFL,
it's the
the
best.
kids, you get these coaches who may have played in college or like, have done a little extracurricular, so they're able to give you more of that technique. But I guess with soccer, you really don't have that here. That's a good point.
No, I mean, it's such like soccer. Soccer is a weird world. Soccer in America is very weird. Like it's a very, very small bubble. There's a ton of people that play it, but in terms of like, I guess not to sound like a dick, but in terms of people that actually know what they're talking about, it's very limited in this country because not a lot of people have gone through the lifestyle. So, I think until that changes or, until they're able to feed kids that want to play soccer into the direction of, people that actually know what they're talking about, it's going to take us a little bit to catch up.
For sure. You're saying the world needs less Ted Lassos out there.
I love Ted Lasso, man. The world needs a lot more Ted Lasso.
Oh, we need more. All right.
Yeah, he's not from a soccer standpoint, but from just like a human standpoint. Give me all the Ted Lassos.
That's right. Be a goldfish, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Believe.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny.
Dev, any questions before we kind of talk about Jeff's other adventure in life?
Yeah, just one. I guess it'd probably be kind of quick. Was there anybody that you played against? So, like being a defensive specialist, like a goalie, if he got the ball, where you're like, "Fuck me, I'm screwed."
Yeah, it happened a lot actually. That was during my time when I was in the MLS. When I was in the MLS, like it was a cool transition time of when I first started. There was like 3 or 4 guys that was like, oh man, this person being here is a big deal. Like the first one that jumps out of my mind is Thierry Henry. Like Thierry Henry, legend, was in the league when I first got in. And he was actually my second game that I ever played. We were playing away at New York. And I'll never forget, my goalie coach showed me just like a 15-minute highlight tape of his best goals in his career. And I'm like talking like some of the best goals in the history of soccer, this guy's showing me to get ready for the game. And I'm like, this is not motivating me at all.
Just made this worse.
This is doing the exact opposite. Like, so he's like, all right, so look, when this guy gets the ball, this is like what he can do. So just be ready for it. And it's like some of the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen in my life.
Be ready for everything.
Yeah. So I think that's what he was going for. But like, it was my first start. It was my second start in MLS, my second start on the road. And I'm like, this guy's going to embarrass me. So, that was definitely one of them. But, as I got a little bit older and grew into a little bit, I don't know if it was more of like oh shit, this guy has the ball, as much as what you're saying, oh, this guy can do just about anything. So whenever he's on the ball, you got to be ready. I think in terms of and physically, I'm not going to say intimidating because I wasn't like intimidated, but just like a physical specimen of a human being that I've never seen on a soccer field before. When I played against Ibrahimovic, he was like if he grew up in America, he would not be playing soccer. He would be playing just about anything else. Like he is a physical, big, strong, like agile, can move. Like he is just like a physical specimen that I really had never ever seen on a soccer field before. And that was the first time where I was like, oh, this dude is a different breed. Like this guy's a different type of human.
How big is his nose though?
Probably as big as mine. I can't make those jokes, so. But no, man, I got a good Zlatan story. So it's funny because we were playing them away, and so we're playing them away, and like it was a kind of a big game. We were in a little bit of a slump, and it was on ESPN. So it was like, LA Portland, you always got the ESPN game, and we're playing them away. And in the first, I want to say the first 10, 15 minutes, a ball comes in, and I didn't think he was going to get his foot to it, but he somehow gets his foot to it. It was like a side volley around a defender, just something ridiculous. And then, it goes wide. It like hits the post and goes wide. And then he just looks at me and he just like calls me a pussy. And I'm like, bro, like I was like excited to play against you. Like I haven't even spoken to you yet. And then later in the game, like he gets a penalty, scores, like he talks, whatever. And at that point, you're into the game and the whole idea of like, oh, I'm playing against Zlatan, like that's long gone out of your mind. And then in the second half, I think we were tied 1-1. We were tied 1-1. And then he gets the ball, takes a long touch. I come out and I still say I don't foul him. It could have gone 50-50, but you're going to get, if Zlatan's getting the ball, like, and going to draw a penalty, they're going to call a penalty against you. So he dives over me. He gets the call. He Panekas me right on the second penalty. He chips me right down the middle. So it's just like insult to injury. And then later on, I asked him, I was like, you dove. Just tell me you dove so that I know you dove. And he's like, yeah, of course I dove. He's like, you shouldn't have slid down for the ball. And I was like, for me, that was a learning lesson of, oh, this dude is different. You know what I mean? It was kind of one of those like, oh, this dude's a different breed. Like he sees the game differently because not many people would have done that. But at the same time, I'm on like every MLS Zlatan highlight reel for this Paneka penalty that he hit me right down the middle. So that's my, Zlatan claim to fame.
This dude's playing chess while you're playing checkers over here.
Yeah, exactly. It was a really like big insult to injury. And then after the game, like this prick, he like we have two players, like legends, two legendary Argentinian players that were on Portland at the time. And they both asked him for a jersey, to trade jerseys. And like anybody else in MLS, if these guys ask you to trade your jerseys, you trade jerseys with them. It's an honor. And he told our kick guy, he said, here, I only have one jersey. Tell them they can cut it and share it. And that was it.
Holy cow.
I was like, man, this guy is a prick.
Yeah.
But at least he is who he puts out there. So
yeah. He's not working on anything. It's all
him. I mean, when you look at it that way, like I guess you got to respect his honesty.
Damn.
But yeah, so that's my Zlatan story.
And that might be the best MLS story I've heard.
Oh,
hands
man.
down.
Yeah,
you got to talk to more MLS. You got to talk to some more MLS guys.
Maybe, but
the transition of MLS, it's gone like when I first got into MLS, it was like the last breed of just college bros, right? Like it was just a bunch of American college bros that played soccer and, were having fun, loving the game, but, having a really good time playing the game and, stories for days from some of these guys that started the league because the league's only been around 20 something years. Yeah. But then by the time I was out of it, it was like proper professional, like what I would imagine it is like the rest of the world. But the first couple of years when I was in there with the college bros, that's when I was like, this is the life. This is what I was meant to be doing.
I didn't leave UCF. This is all wonderful. This is exactly
USF. Don't put me at that evil school.
I'm gonna put myself in timeout here, Jeff. Bad. Well, hey, MLS. We could ask you probably a million questions, but you retire from it, and you go to work for a really cool company. You might notice the shirts me and Devin are rocking, and Jeff himself is rocking. Smack Apparel. You go to work for them, and you're making social media content left and right, and it's all electric, getting all the likes. I love it, man. It's been hilarious just because you guys live up to the name. You're talking smack, and it's literally from Premier League, like we just talked about, to college, NFL, NBA, baseball. You guys got it all covered. How did you get into the Smack building? How did you get into that role?
Man, so I married the owner's daughter.
Hey, that's one way to do it. All right.
That's how I got my in. I played the long game. I played the real long game. No, so it's funny actually. I appreciate you saying that about Smack, man. I'm working hard to try to build it out, and they didn't really have much of a social media before. Over the last couple of years, I've been working on it pretty hard because, I do think it is a super cool company, and we make a lot of shirts that are geared towards diehard fans, which, that's what I am. I'm a diehard fan, so it fits me pretty well. So we're trying to build it out there. So I appreciate you saying that. But so it's funny. My father-in-law owns a company. Okay. He's the founder. He started it 23 years ago, and he started it with one college football t-shirt. He had a funny idea. It was back in the day. He went to Florida State. So I'm not sure, where you guys at are in your history of Florida State and, how you guys know all this. So bear with me. But so we made a shirt. It was like, Will Rogers never met a man I didn't like. And on the back, it said, Will Rogers never met Steve Spurrier. So it's just like, you know what I mean? Like funny, making fun of, a smack talking shirt for Florida State about Florida. Mm-hmm. So, as the story goes, he makes this shirt and people start seeing it, and he he's hustling back in the day where there's no internet, so he's going door to door, selling retail. And then the more Florida State people wanted it, the more people that didn't like Steve Spurrier wanted it. So then the idea just kind of grew from there. You know what I mean? And, of course, there's a lot of in between and there's a lot of stories in between. But 23 years later, we're doing it for just about every fan base out there. And so he's been able to grow the company like that. So, the way that I got into it was obviously marrying his daughter. But the cool story about that is I was wearing a Ray shirt. I'm a big Tampa guy. I was wearing this Ray shirt back in 2008 when they went from worst to first. And I'm like a diehard Rays guy. I got a Rays tattoo, like the whole works. Like I'm like a diehard. And so I'm wearing this shirt. And I'd known my wife Kendall. Like we knew each other as friends. Like we knew each other socially. But when I was wearing the shirt, she's like, "Oh yeah, that's our shirt." And I'm like, "Oh, you got this too? Isn't this shirt like dope?" And she's like, "No, like that's my company. My dad makes these shirts, or like my family's company makes these shirts." And I had like 5 or 6 Smack shirts in the closet. No, and I was like, "No way! Like get out of here!" And then I met the guy, and he's all time. And I didn't marry my wife because of Smack, but it was a nice perk. It was an added bonus that I had an access to just unlimited sports fans t-shirts for the rest of my life.
Dude, absolutely. I like the little disclaimer. I did not marry her just because of that.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm giving you guys some sound clips that you guys could really throw me under the bus with.
I'm saying, make sure you get that on the recorded audio.
Yeah.
I mean, her dad has told enough people that I married her because of Smack that, it's definitely, the idea is definitely out there to some people.
Oh, well, I can imagine that. But dude, I mean, you guys coming from one shirt to now, I mean, you've got to have hundreds of shirts and literally almost any fan base. Now, look, we're all app graduates except for Matt, so we're a little salty. You don't have any app stuff on there yet. But I believe in you guys. You'll get it rolling. But, I mean, you guys have it all covered.
Did you say App State?
Yeah.
Dude, I almost went to Appalachian State.
What are we doing, Jeff?
Yeah, no, I almost went there for soccer. That was the best recruiting trip. Well. I mean, not to steer the story, but that was the best recruiting trip I went on. That place is awesome.
Dude, Boone is top notch.
Top notch. Oh, that's funny. That's all right, awesome. Sorry. Yeah, we'll get some we'll work on some App State stuff.
Hey, there we go. That's all. Yeah. That's all we asked for. But I mean, like, and you guys are on top of things like that, like Money Mac. That I feel like 1 week CJ Usman says it, and then you guys are like, let's make a T-shirt on it. Money Mac bank on it.
I mean, we actually beat him to that. We beat Money Mac to that, but we gave up. We obviously like we're player friendly. Right? We're not, we're not trying to step on any toes, but it was actually kind of funny that we're just always kind of switched on. We're just a bunch of sports fans, and we're pretty dialed in. We know that we make our money by figuring out exactly what the diehard fans want to wear. And, it's just something that's a lot of fun for us is, especially for me, because I've always kind of been a diehard fan anyway. So really trying to tap into the emotion of a fan base, or even if it's something that we think a fan base would rally behind, that's something that we're willing to try and put out there, because if they are willing to rally behind it, and if they are able to get behind it, then it's pretty cool that we were able to, help a fan base kind of figure out a rallying cry or figure out something to get excited about. That's kind of what we're all about. And it's grown from, it's really grown from college football, where, that's really where the company got its start, to, like you said, we cover, we're down to cover just about anything if fans are into it.
Dude, for sure. And like you said, the rallying cry, like Devin's wearing the "Welcome to the Crack House" shirt. And it's like, how awesome is that? Devin was like, hey, Kraken are becoming a team. I'm becoming a Kraken fan. And you guys have this awesome shirt. He's like, hey, let me get that. We're ordering that sucker. Like, you hit the nail on the head. Exactly.
I can't cheer for anything Seattle, but,
That's very fair.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, so like, that's really what we're all about. And, the most fun shirts for us are the ones that are, playing into the rivalries. That's like the bread and butter. You know what I mean? Like when UNC beat Duke the first time, we were like, oh, this is awesome. Like this will never happen again. Duke could win the national championship and, UNC will still have this moment. And then it was like, oh my God, they're going to play. We're like, well, they're going to play again. Like, man, like if Duke gets revenge, like this shirt kind of dies. And, the whole idea of it dies. But then we're like, but if UNC somehow pulls it off again, then it's just like doubling down,
Yeah.
And then that's just a moment, those are the types of moments that we live for, because those are 2 wins that UNC will have for the rest of time. And, so like those are shirts that are awesome because it's something that, people will look back on 10 years from now and be like, I remember where I was when that game happened. So those are the types of shirts that like are a lot of fun to make. And obviously, Money Mac was cool and things like that. But when it's a rivalry, when it's like a proper rivalry and, there's like fans that truly don't like each other and are able to tap into that, that's when Smack is at its best.
Oh, yeah. I 100% agree. Like, the Kyrie suck shirts that you made for Celtic fans. Like, I'm sure that went off the shelves as soon as like, hey, Net Celtics, round 1 of NBA playoffs. Yeah.
That one for me was a little tough because I'm like, man, like I understand the player side of it, but at the same time, like when the whole arena is chanting it, it's like, oh, man, it'd be crazy not to make a shirt about it.
Exactly.
Like we're only, you know what I mean? Like at least we like put, a little clover over his Y, so maybe you don't know it's him, but But yeah, no, man, those are the fun ones to make. And the big one that we got going down here in Tampa is we went to, so when the Lightning won and it was like the boat parade, that was like epic. Like I know cities do championship parades and they're fun and all that, but you're talking about literally a boat parade in open water and people are just going nuts on the water and players are celebrating. You guys have seen the hot videos, I'm sure, of Brady and these guys and the Lightning players. And so now that's like our big thing down here because, I'm a huge Tampa fan. So I'm always trying to rally the troops for boat parade shirts because I'm like, man, it's fun to win the championship. But if you get to go to the boat parade, it's like an all-time day. Like there is nothing better than celebrating with a parade. So that's what we got going down here.
Dude, absolutely. Like in Tampa, like we've talked about it a lot on this episode. 101 episodes. I feel like we talk about Tampa probably every other week. I
bet you wouldn't have thought that before you started this thing.
Right. Championship city galore. The back-to-back Lightning shirts with guzzling beers, Tom Brady throwing the Lambeau Trophy. Like it's just amazing to think about. Like Tampa is becoming. It's the championship city right now, and so rally behind all those boat parades that you can because we're here for it because they're electric every single time.
I know. I wish I had the social media dialed in for the boat parades. That would have gotten some unreal content. That would have been worth showing. But we got to win another one hopefully, so we can get that thing rolling.
You're sitting pretty good for the Lightning, and then Tampa. We'll talk about them a little bit on, but yeah, the Bucks. Yeah, you're Clearwater, Tampa Bay right now. It's the place to be. I feel like.
I retired and moved back here, so I hope you're right.
Exactly. Well, listeners, if you want some of the Smack apparel, go to our link on Instagram. It'll take you to smackapparel.com. We got a discount code for you. You don't have to plug anything in. Just click the link. It'll give a discount right at checkout. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but go check it out. They've got everything on there. You'll find something for every fan base, guaranteed.
Yeah, absolutely. And use the link on their Instagram as well because, we got to help out the pub talk. We got to keep these episodes rolling.
That's right. Yeah.
So make sure you use the one on the Instagram link. That'll be solid.
Hey, you're the man, Jeff. Well, hey, you want to stick around and talk a little sports with us?
Yeah, what you guys got? What you guys got on the docket?
Well, hey, NBA draft was everything that we thought it was going to be. Completely unknown, and really, this is for the boys. And also, you're a Buccaneers fan, I'm assuming, being in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's talk a little draft grades for us. It's way too early to tell, way too early to get our draft full grades because we don't know, but we're fans. We're going to try to think like we know it all. So for you, Jeff, the Buccaneers, how did they draft? And are you happy with it overall, underwhelmed, all that good stuff? Yeah,
I mean, at this point, I kind of just have blind faith in what the GM is doing or, what Tom Brady's up to. I would have liked to get, I'm pretty biased towards certain schools. So, we ended up taking a running back in the third out of Arizona State, which to me, we've gone to the well a couple times with Pac-12 schools when it comes to running backs, and it hasn't really worked out too well for us. I would have loved to get James Cook in the second if we were going to go running back because he was sitting there and we passed on Dalvin when he came out. So I would have liked to get the brother, or at least get one of him in the building. And then, they're saying good things about this edge rusher Hall that we got in the early second. But, my draft story is – and we got a punter, which, I'm down to draft punters. So, hopefully we use it. But, I feel pretty confident. I think they definitely got every position that they needed. They waited until the fourth to get a tight end, which everyone down here is saying that means that they're just, extremely confident that Gronk's going to come back. So I hope that holds true because we definitely need a tight end that can play. But it's funny, I went to the draft party and stuck it out, and then we ended up trading out the first round anyway. So that was for that moment that I spent my whole night waiting around at a draft party for us to pick somebody, and they traded down. I'm going to give them a B-.
Hey, that's fair. But you got some great social media posts of the jerseys you'll see at a Tampa Bay draft party.
Yeah. I mean, that's you'll see anybody down here. Everyone moves down here and no one cheers for Tampa. It's a shame.
Which is crazy to think about. You guys keep winning, but
yeah.
Tim, you're a Lions fan. Your boy fell into your lap. Aiden Hutchinson. How do you feel about it?
Oh my gosh. Guys, I've been drinking Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid all freaking week. I thought the Lions draft was top tier. I thought we hit all the major spots we needed to. We focused on defense, but we got arguably, and every person will say different, arguably the best receiver in the draft. I think we traded up to get him. Jameson, I don't know when he'll be able to play, but gosh, I'm so excited. We got two great edge rushers. I think that was where I was wanting to focus the draft on the most. I think when we first talked about it was just getting a D-line, build the trenches up, get pressure on these stud quarterbacks. I love the draft, but it's the Lions. So let's see if anything comes of it, actually,
Well, Tim, last week you said you get Aiden Hutchinson, Lions straight to the playoffs. That's what you said.
And I'll be honest with you. I think we can win the division.
Oh my God.
Let's go.
I wish Evan was on here because, FTP, F the Packers. I think we're definitely going to take the division. And I think this is going to be our first playoff win in over 20 years. I'm just throwing that out there.
Hey, we're living proof, baby. All it takes is one player.
All it takes is one.
All it takes
Good God, lay off
one defensive lineman to fix all the Lions' issues.
That's all it takes.
Jeff, you're going to eat those words. You just wait. Every one of you.
Listen, my heart goes out to the Lions. I like the Lions. I hope you're right, but that is some extreme optimism, which I'm happy for you. I'm glad you have that optimism coming off of a draft. That's exciting.
It's all I got. All right. Just give me this, guys. It's all I want.
Yeah. Hey.
Is it too much to ask to win the division? Is it too much to ask?
I could just straight up say, Super Bowl or bust. But I think division, I'm going to temper it down. Let's go division. And then maybe next year we'll look at Super Bowl.
Can we get you to wild card? Can we get you down to wild card?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll take a wild card, Shit, why not? I'll do that.
I love it. Hey, you took Williams, trading up for a wide receiver who doesn't have an ACL. Dan Campbell loves that. He doesn't have to bite any knee ligaments off. There's only kneecaps.
That's right. And I'll tell you, That is the first time I almost crapped my pants. That is the first time the Lions have ever traded up in the first round because we're normally like the first or second pick. So the fact that I saw that
Well, you were.
newsflash.
That was the first win for the Lions.
Yeah, I saw the newsflash and I was like, we traded up? Like it just blew my mind. So I'm gonna keep chugging this Kool-Aid, guys, and you just keep laughing at me. But I'm in for
Hey,
it.
Tim, I'm here. Bad franchise that sticks together. I'm here for you.
Let's go.
Takes both of us. Matt, staying with the NFC North, your Packers, man. How
Yeah.
you feel?
Back down here in real life in planet Earth. I honestly, I knew we weren't taking a wide receiver in round 1, and I just love waking up, in the morning. Oh look, we haven't taken a wide receiver, and just watching the memes of Aaron Rodgers just getting angry again. You have to love it, otherwise it'll make you cry. Like you just literally have to love it because Aaron Rodgers is such a big old baby. Just enjoying the memes and him getting angry. You just have to love it. Yeah, glad that we took some dogs to the first round. Very happy with that. So there we go. I'm happy with us. I'm very happy.
Yeah, you get a pair of Georgia studs, to come off the Natty Championship. And hell, maybe that's all it takes to get past the 49ers.
Yeah.
Slate, man. We were texting. I said, I think the Ravens had the best draft.
They did.
Like,
No question. No question to that.
I think thoroughly, I'm like, damn, dude, they crushed this draft. And yes, you trade Hollywood Brown out to Arizona. And it seemed like, oh, shit, maybe they got ripped off because they give up a pick with Brown, only get one pick in return. But I don't know. I think the draft, you guys filled the slot plus more. Like, I feel like you guys maybe have stole the show here.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, like I've said before in the show, we're notoriously bad at drafting wide receivers. So I'm glad we just kind of stuck to our bread and butter. Really looking forward to Kyle Hampton getting in that defensive rotation, as well as Linderbaum. I think that guy's going to probably make an immediate impact. He'll probably be one of the few that make an immediate impact. And then Ojobo, that's our future project. I know he tore his Achilles or whatever, but I'm happy with everything. The only one that was like kind of questionable was the Daniel Falele out of Minnesota. But I mean, if he pays off, he's 6'8", 380 pounds. So I mean, Jesus Christ, that's a big bastard.
Just a mountain.
Yeah.
And you get Pub Sports Talk alum Isaiah Likely from Coastal as a tight end. We love to see that.
Two tight ends and again a punter. Punters were hot in this draft.
Special teams for the brand. This 2022 draft.
They were real hot.
It's like amazing. Like fourth round, I was like punter. I was like, was that a mistake? And then like fifth round, punter. I'm like, no shit. All right, this is the draft. This is what punter's been waiting for, baby. This is the year.
It's a Pat McAfee effect.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Well, I don't know about you guys. Bengals fan, I'll give us a B- at best. We took a lot of secondary, and I thought our secondary was pretty decent, minus Eli Apple, which that's a whole nother tangent I won't get on. But Bengals, I don't know. We'll see. Usually I'm pretty happy with the drafts, but this year I was questionable. But the bigger question, it seemed like Liberty's quarterback, Malik Willis, he was going to be number one quarterback taken off the board. He slides to number 3. Desmond and Kenny get off the board before him. And I was shocked. I don't know about you guys, but there was a lot of pre-draft hype about, hey, Willis is the dude. He's going to be QB1 off the board. Jeff, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I would be 1,000% lying if I said I watched a minute of Liberty football. It's like I never know where these guys come up with this. Like, oh, this stud from Liberty, he is going to take over everything. And I'm like, no, man. Like, if I was a GM, I would probably take the guy that I was actually able to find on TV every single week. You know what I mean? So for me, I guess that wasn't that surprising. It really didn't seem like anybody was high on quarterbacks as it is this entire draft. I know a lot of people, like we actually had a lot of Pittsburgh fans down in Tampa that were saying that they wanted that they wanted him to come to Pittsburgh. But I think that's just because they didn't think that Pickett would be there. So I think that once Pickett ended up sliding down to the Steelers, who seemed like the most obvious pick to take a quarterback, that was always going to be the way that it went down. And then, like from there, I don't really see up and down who was dying to get a quarterback that, it wasn't a really quarterback heavy draft. And, even Pickett,
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So like him sliding isn't really that surprising. I thought it was funny. I saw today that Tannehill was like, it's not my job to mentor this guy. And everyone's like, wow, what a prick. But it's like, no, it's not his job to help somebody take his job. But I think he ended up in a good fit. I think that's a team. I just got back from Nashville this weekend and people actually are pretty excited about him. And, it seems like a guy that if he is that good of a talent, he probably has to step up a little bit in his level of play because he was playing at Liberty. So hopefully being on Tennessee, it gives him a little bit of time to develop and, turn into the NFL quarterback that people think he could be. But, he went to Liberty.
I mean, you're absolutely right. And like, I think it's a perfect scenario for him. Like you said, I don't know why Tannehill gets so much hate in Nashville. Like the Titans keep winning. They're winning games. Like, yes, he's not like top tier quarterback, but he won't lose you a game. He's going to win you a game more times than he's going to lose you a game. And so for him to get the hate he's getting, it's kind of surprising. Kenny staying in Pittsburgh, that just made sense to me. He's a hometown kid. Ritter, Marcus Mariota, and Atlanta, that's going to be a quarterback battle. It's going to be fun to watch, but I think, like you said, all these quarterbacks are, we'll see.
Yeah, like nobody really moved the needle. So when they're saying, like I said, man, I know I keep saying this, but when you're telling me a guy from Liberty is going to be the person that changes your franchise, I don't really know how much that's happened in the
Come on, and Flames we trust. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Boys, any other draft thoughts for us?
Hey, DeMarco Jackson to the Saints.
Yeah, who dat, baby? I love it.
That's right. Love
the
it.
pub alum.
Yeah, I guess before the draft there was all that QB hype, and then as soon as the first trade came in, I think it was it the Saints trading up or was it? I can't remember who it was. That's my first assumption was okay, they're trading up to get a quarterback, and then they ended up getting a receiver, and then the Lions traded up, and I was like, okay, we're getting a quarterback, we got a receiver, and then you had all these trades, and no one was picking up a quarterback, and I was like, oh, so maybe it was just all hype. Like you had Pickett, but then the next one was at the end of round 2 or round 3 is like, okay, yeah, I guess you get so used to seeing a quarterback in like the top 5. It's like, oh wow, this is really not that great of a quarterback draft, I guess. So that was just interesting.
I think they were also so ingrained to just think that, oh, you got a problem, let's just throw a quarterback at it. You know what I mean? Whoever these guys have ranked the highest on the board. So I actually thought it was cool to see teams being like, well, we're not going to reach at quarterback when, if all you're doing is moving, a lot of these guys, if you draft them in the first round, probably the Steelers are the exception, that, you hedge your future. If you're a GM or a coach, you hedge your future on a first round quarterback. And, if the guy's not there, at least nobody took the bait and, fell for the trap. I guess there's growth in that.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. A little bit less smoke and mirrors, it feels like.
Yeah.
Well, staying with the draft, 2 big trades. We already talked about Marquise Brown going to the Cardinals, which big news today, D-Hop is suspended for at least the first 6 weeks of the season for performance-enhancing drugs. He denies ever taking it. Might have been something to supplement, which is totally believable. Supplement companies, they're not FDA approved. I used to be like, they're full of shit. But now I'm like, I could see some cross-contamination between supplements and D-Hop. It's the first time in 8 seasons that he's got Bing for this thing. It was a November test, so it was kind of surprising. But I think the Cardinals knew about that, and so they needed Marquise Brown to come in before the news broke. So I think it's a huge win for the Cardinals Ravens. I know you're not a complete fan of that with Lamar Jackson's slate, but time will tell.
I think Lamar will be fine. I think that from what I gather, they're just like really good buddies, and it seems like he was left out of the loop on that. So, I think he'll get over it. I think he'll be fine.
Okay, fair enough. Any thoughts on this one, Jeff, Tim, Matt? Any thoughts at all?
No, I just feel bad for Hopkins, man. Like, kind of like you said, we're told all the time, don't trust the supplement companies, or, really find somebody that's doing their research. And because, you could do something that you've always done, and, it's made in for them to say, it could be made in a plant where there was something on the table before, and these things are so sensitive that it flags it, and you might not even know. So, I tend to lean towards the athlete and believe, that this guy who's been drug tested X amount of times probably isn't, cheating at this stage in his career. And, he just got injured. He's coming off injury. So he might have tried something new that he thought was legal to help him recover a little bit faster. And I don't know, feel bad for him. But at the same time, like, I guess we're about to find out how much Kyler Murray's going to earn that new deal, because when Hopkins wasn't on the field, he didn't really look that great, and he wants all this money. So at least we're going to get an answer to that pretty quick.
Hey, absolutely. You're exactly right. And, people talk about maybe this tarnishes D-Hop's legacy. I think if you truly know sports, and for us, we're a player-friendly show, you tend to take the side of the player and like, I don't think this tarnishes legacy. I just feel bad, like you said. I feel bad for him. And Kyler Murray, he's got to step up to the plate now. And D-Hop's going to be in the drug program for, 27 months or so, like 2.5 years, 3 years. That he's going to have to sit there and do piss tests randomly, which sucks for him. But, it is what it is.
However good he is, however good that product help him recover, it's probably not worth the 27.
Yeah, exactly.
The 27 months.
No.
Exactly.
I'm trying to find what it was that pinged, but I can't seem to find anything. Did they
I
ever
couldn't
say?
find it either.
Oh,
It's pretty interesting that the NFL, that the Cardinals knew for so long, and then it just got out now. Like, I think that's pretty
For sure.
interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like, like, I
Yeah,
don't know. Like,
makes you think. Makes you think.
exactly.
A
A little collusion going on, maybe.
Probably rightfully so.
Well, the other big wide receiver name is A.J. Brown, going to the Philadelphia Eagles, getting traded away from Nashville and Titans, which this pick, Brown gets the deal of a lifetime, 4 years, $100 million, and he's guaranteed at least 57 of that million. And all Titans get is an 18th round pick and 101st pick. So, A.J. Brown, probably top 5 current wide receivers right now, and you get 2 picks for him. It's just kind of head scratching, but who knows? Titans front office, they know what they're doing. Maybe, possibly, they took Arkansas's wide receiver Banks, but this one also surprised me. I know he was unhappy, kind of like Deebo Samuel, but I thought you at least fight like hell to keep your boy. He made Tannehill look good.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I can't remember who I was listening to, but they made the comparison of wide receivers are becoming the new running back, where you can almost just draft a comp receiver and save yourself the headache of that, contract extension. And it makes sense. I mean, you get all these wide receivers that are coming right out of college. If you find one that's close to AJ Brown, or the next DK Metcalf, just as a big body person, then shoot, trade him while he still has value and just draft the guy the next year. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays next draft. I don't know what the wide receiver class coming up is going to look like, but it might be that scenario where you just start to see these big name wide receivers start digging their heels in the ground for money, and they just get passed on.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tim. That's a real good point. Any other wide receiver thoughts before we move away from the NFL?
All I'd say is quickly is a lot of pressure on Hurts now. Devonta Smith and AJ Brown, that's a serious wide receiver, room now. It's probably top 5 easily.
Yeah.
I know Smith's still I thought I was very impressed by him. So yeah, a lot of pressure on Hurts.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, now Hurts, if he doesn't produce, it's like, dude, I don't know what else to tell you, unless you blame the O-line. And honestly, Philly's O-line's pretty decent, pretty good. So they're gonna find out real quick.
And Philly's a rough city too for a quarterback if you're not performing well. So
we'll
find that out really quick.
Throwing batteries at Santa Claus, quarterbacks, man, you're getting the bricks. Well, real quick, we're gonna talk a little NHL. We've all made our picks here, fans, listeners. This will be on Instagram for you momentarily. Jeff, I know you're pretty excited, especially looking at Tampa Maple Leafs Toronto series. You know, we're all taking Tampa except for Jay Gray. She's just a troll to troll. Sorry, except for Matt. Never mind, Matt. You don't have an excuse except for you're over in England right now. So
Yeah.
maybe you just don't know about hockey over there. I don't know, but
Oh, I made the
So
picks
far
when I
you
was
look
with my
right.
friend who lives in Ontario, so I was like, I'll have to pick. I have to take the Leafs.
Canada bias. I hear it. But you know, I know Tampa is just roaring for this playoffs because you go back to back to back. You get a three-peat here if Lightning make a run.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have a lot of blind faith in the Lightning. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I just kind of always assume at this point that they're going to figure it out. But they did get beat down pretty bad last night, which hopefully I'm hoping it's a wake-up call and not a sign of things to come.
Yeah.
But now I'm just trying to study your guys' picks.
If I need to make it bigger, I can make it bigger for you.
No, you're good. No, you're good. But no, I have blind faith in the Lightning that they're going to figure it out, and you know, it's a it's the opportunity to do something special that I don't think a lot of teams. I don't know who's won 3 in a row in any sport. Cowboys, maybe? Did they do it?
I don't know if they got 3 in a row.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously, you know, not a lot of teams have done it in the history of sports, so it's something that clearly is very tough to pull off.
Exactly. I think of the Bulls of Chicago in the Jordan era, and that's about it. The only team I can think of that's won 3 in a row.
So if they're able to do it, I mean, listen, the boat parade will be epic. You guys should come down. We'll see how it plays out.
We'll be there in a heartbeat. You just let us know.
Yeah, that'd be a fun live show.
Hey, we'll do it. You let us know where to go. We're there. All right, we're going.
Listen, I promise that'd be worth coming down from England too. I promise. You.
There you go, Matt. Make sure you get that passport and visa ready. Let's go. You know, we're based in Carolina here, Jeff. So most of us are taking the Canes, except for Fitz and Jay Gray. They kind of grew up as Boston fans, so they're taking the Bruins there. But I think all these hockey matches, honestly, I look at all of them, they're all entertaining. And it was kind of like, I feel 65% confident. And then like, maybe it goes this way. It depends on my mood. I had to make my picks. And Tim, Matt, you guys maybe felt the same. This is a great postseason for NHL. And I'm excited to see how this thing kind of shapes up.
Yeah, the most glaring pick that is like, it's kind of hurting me to think about. Devin picked the Predators over the Avalanche.
Yeah.
I know Devin's a diehard Predators fan since last year, but Dev, if you're there, you have to explain yourself.
Yeah, him, obviously he's jumped on the Seattle bandwagon. He's like, hey, I want to be their day one fan. I'm here. But he also was all in for Smashville. And so I think he just kind of gets blind. He gets the Canes in there a little bit. I think he's just confused mentally sometimes.
Whoever's trendy, whoever the trendy fun pick.
Yeah,
is.
exactly. Yeah. It's a new hashtag here.
Devin's the new bandwagon fan for NHL.
But that's what for me, in terms of playoffs in American sports leagues, hockey, if you have a team that you're invested in and that team goes on a run, it's 2.5 months every other day your team is playing, and it seems like it's like everything. It's hockey, so it's like everything is so intense. Like there's tons of scoring, or there's always so much back and forth. That if you're cheering for a team, or if you're able to get behind the hockey playoffs and like properly follow it, it is like nonstop every other day, and it's for me it's the most exciting playoff. It's 2 months, months of every other day. Like you can't really.
It's crazy to think about. No,
can't
exactly.
Really
and Devin went on this journey last year where he's like, I'm going to watch at least 3 games of NHL's of the NHL season all season long, and he did it. Which kudos to him, because like that's impressive as hell. And so I guess he has some room to be biased there. But that's our NHL picks. And hopefully let us know how wrong or how right we were. Tim, I'm coming for that Pick'em's trophy behind you. I want that thing back.
Yeah, Jeff, you should check out my my trophy. I don't know if you can read that with the light, but I'm basically the champion of the pub sports, the group here. My picks are pretty flawless, so I have a feeling I'm just going to keep this here on the shelf for a long, long time, boys.
You do that with every sport? You get a different pick'em contest for different.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, we try to keep it fun around here.
Nice, man. I like that.
So, anytime you want to be guest picker, feel free. We'll come on. We'll get you. We'll mail you the trophy if you win it. But
I was going to
good
say, do
luck.
I get the trophy? I'm only playing if I get the trophy.
And then you could have a boat parade for the trophy.
Yeah.
And then you could throw the trophy to the boat behind you.
Guarantee it costs way less than Lombardi. So yeah, feel free. Skyhook it.
Yeah, can that one be replaced?
Yeah,
Just so I know where I can get it.
One more playoff series going around. NBA's, round 1 was pretty awesome to watch. Round 2 has been, it's gone exactly how we thought it was, except for the Celtics Bucks. That game was kind of more of a blowout. But Suns Mavericks, that was a fun one to watch. Grizzlies Warriors came down to 1 point. Heat Sixers, a little bit more lopsided, but still very close game up until the last minutes. And then kind of the Bucks was like, hey, I'm the Greek freak for a reason. I'm no KD. I'm no Kyrie. I'm putting the ball in my hands. I'm getting the job done. And Jason Tatum's got a lot to grow up here. He's got to learn during the series. But NBA round 2, what's our picks here? Jeff, I'll let you go first. Who are you picking?
All right, so I'm going Suns. I like the fact Devin Booker's back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame. I'll stick to the West for first. I think Golden State, just because the Grizzlies. I like the Grizzlies, but I think experience is kind of king when it comes to playoff runs, and Golden State's loaded with experience. I mean, it sucks that Embiid got hurt. I think that series would have been good. I felt like Philly getting that first round win would have given them some good momentum, and the Heat are legit too. So I thought that if Embiid was able to be healthy, I think that would have been a good series. But I kind of feel like the Heat might just sweep them, honestly, because they don't look anything like they should look to be at this stage.
Yeah.
And then, man, Game 1, I wanted the Celtics to win, but Game 1 kind of scared me off of that a little bit. Just the fact that kind of the same thing. Milwaukee's done the playoff run before, and they've kind of been there. But I'm gonna go Celtics just because I think Heat Celtics would be pretty fun. So I'll lock those in.
Yeah, I mean, golly, stole the words from my mouth for the most part. Yeah, Tim, what do you say?
I'm taking the same picks with the exception of switching the Bucks and the Celtics. I think the Celtics looked great last series, and I think it was partly because of the dysfunction of the Nets. And now that you see the Bucks, they're really starting to hit their stride. They kind of, I don't know, Game 1 of that didn't look pretty for the Celtics, shooting a lot of threes, and it just, I don't know. You saw them last series, and you're like, wow, great team. Last game, you were like, I'm not feeling it. So I'm going to go with Suns, Golden State, the Heat, and the Bucks.
All right, I'm here for it. Matt?
Right, give me the Suns. I'm going to take the Grizzlies because everyone's going for the Warriors, only purely for that reason. There's a Formula 1 race in Miami this week. And I saw George Russell was at the game the other day, so give me the Heat and give me the Bucks.
All right, I like it. Slate, who are you taking?
Let's go. Mavs, Golden State, Bucks, Heat.
I like it. That Fitz kind of, Fitz is going Dallas, Golden State, Heat, and Bucks as well. He's kind of copied you there. I'm going to go Suns. Jeff, like you, Devin Booker's back. Chris Paul, I think they're going to be clicking at the right time. Luka's one-man show, but when you got a dynamic duo like the Suns, it's hard to beat. Grizzlies, Golden State, that one's tough. Give me that gritty team, baby. Give me the Grizz. I love Ja Morant's just swagger and just that young explosiveness. They're kind of in your face, and I love it. I'm here for it. Give me the Heat. It's a clean Heat sweep. I just, like you said, Joel Embiid's out. He's injured. If he was back, I'd be really tempted to take Philly because I think Philly could almost give him a run for the money and push it to Game 7, maybe win. But without him, good luck. And I got to back my Celtics. I think Jason Tatum grows up to this point, and he gets the job done. But listeners, watchers, let us know how we get right, how we get wrong. Let Jeff know how he does. Hit him up on Instagram, all that good stuff. Matt, real quick footy stuff, and then we'll do our pub parlay. We'll get out of here. I know we kind of it's our longest episode ever, but Jeff's just such great at storytelling. We couldn't cut him off.
Sorry, I like to talk. I'm a big talker.
Hey, I love it, Jeff. We're here for
Love it.
Yeah, real quick one. So just a real quick review of the game that happened. The big game that happened Sunday was Everton beating Chelsea. You know, Everton are really struggling to stay in the Premier League, really struggling. And they really scored quite a fortunate goal with a lot of pressing high up the field by Richarlison. Chelsea captain Attinella just couldn't get rid of the ball in time, drops for Richarlison, tucks it away, and as he's run off celebrating, he's picked up a flare and throws it. That's quite funny. But Chelsea literally threw everything at Everton. You know, they had the ball 80% of the game, which is ridiculous. And Jeff, I'm not sure if you've seen the highlights, but Jordan Pickford made some amazing saves for Everton, some incredible saves. One including he saved the ball with his face from about 5 yards out. It was unbelievable. And a sort of gritty win that, you know, your team, you know, when you're down the bottom, you need to be gritty, you need to be dirty, and you need to win the close games. And fair play to Everton, a huge game for them. Still in trouble, still in a relegation zone, but you know they're doing okay, and you know their fans are absolutely bouncing. The night before the game, Everton fans were setting fireworks outside of Chelsea's hotel at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Jeez.
I love
And
it.
you watch videos of it; it's crazy, absolutely bananas. But there we go. Anyway, moving on to next week. Quick little look forward. We've got a big game that's going to decide the top half of the table. We've got Liverpool home to Spurs. These two teams are chasing different things. Liverpool obviously chasing to win the league. Tottenham tried really hard to consolidate their, you know, top 4 place. Should be really good games. Liverpool Spurs is always a great game. Is always full of goals, end-to-end stuff, great players. Harry Kane, Jota scoring so many goals this year. So this is a definite must-watch. It is. Let me tell you right now. It's a late kickoff as well, so it's easy for you guys to watch the Wolf once. So I'm gonna try to work out 4 o'clock kickoff, 4:45 kickoff on Saturday. So definitely give that a watch. So there we go.
It's gonna be one great game. I'm excited for it. Jeff, any pick for this one?
Oh, Liverpool. Always Liverpool. Yeah, always Liverpool. They're too good. Yeah, they're too good.
Touche. Fair enough. All right, boys. Pub parlay. So, Jeff, this segment, we're going to pick a bet for this weekend. We're all going to lump it together, pub parlay. Hopefully, we'll make some good money. Or if it's like been the past couple of weeks where we're all a little bit of a cold streak. But we're bouncing back with Jeff the Legend here. So, I got a good feeling here.
Oh, man. Man, my betting history ain't great, so we'll see.
Hey, you fit just right in with the pub. It's fine. All right. So starting with this weekend, we've got a ton of action. We got footy, we've got NHL, we got NBA, we got baseball, obviously, a little F1 if we want to dip into Formula One. I know, Matt, that's kind of your thing, but Devin's been on a journey to watch a little more of Formula One as well. Jeff, you're a guest. You want to go first? You want to clean up for us?
Man, let me look at the lines real quick. I'll go clean up.
Hey, perfect. All right,
Just
boys.
put any Tampa team down; it'd be fine.
It might be.
Well, they're always favored by so many points. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Do we have a day? Are we doing Saturday or Sunday or Friday?
I don't
I
have
have
a
2
preference.
Saturdays, but
Let's roll Saturdays. Let's do it.
all right. Matt, what do you think about Wolves over Chelsea?
Okay, Chelsea haven't been playing that well, but Wolves have only won one in their last 5. They've lost their last 3 at the Bridge as well. I'm going to say, it's your pick, but I highly doubt they're going to get a result.
And last time we picked Wolves, it turned out good.
No, we didn't, because you weren't here. We picked him against Burnley, and Burnley won 3.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's because Slate didn't make the pick. That's the reason.
There we go.
All right, we'll save it for another time. I'm going to go since Jeff's here. I'm actually going to go Rays over the Royals, the Mariners this weekend Saturday.
Oh, but I'll say this: the Rays are historically bad against the Mariners.
Ooh.
Oh no!
Ooh.
Yeah. I think they just beat them in the last series. I'm pretty sure it was like the first time in my life I've seen them beat the Mariners in a series. But hey, they'll have good odds.
It's a new day, baby.
It is
It's
a new day. It's a new
Dawn
day.
of a new day.
Hey, I appreciate the support.
Matt, Tim.
It's a real toughie for Saturday.
I'll go with a little underhand pitch because I think we need a win. Give me the Avalanche over Nashville Saturday night.
I wasn't sure where you're going with that.
Well, I was going to pick Houston over my Tigers, but
I was going to ask if you were going to do that.
I think, Houston, I know the Astros are great and all, but let's go with Avalanche.
Okay. I like it.
Could be Crystal Palace to beat Watford.
Ooh.
Watford are relegated now, Tim, by the way, so that means your team's in the next division below.
Yeah, F you, Matt. F you.
Yeah.
I solely blame that on you. We made it, and we had a taste of victory, and now we've been relegated. So
it's all Matt's fault.
I had to bring you down after that speech about the Lions, that's for sure.
I'm used to it. It's all right, man.
Jeff, you're here. It's a little bit different Florida team for you. I'm going to take the Panthers over the Capitals Saturday as well. I think, Capitals, yes, they're home, but they're just, I don't know, they're old. They're a lot older than what we used to. They're a couple years removed from that Stanley Cup win, and the Panthers are hot right now. So give me the Florida Panthers.
I think Ovechkin's hurt too.
And that doesn't help.
That doesn't help. All right, is it on me?
It's on you. No pressure.
All right, I'm going over the 2.5 in the Liverpool Tottenham game.
Oh, good pick.
Give me the over.
I like that. Yes. Awesome. Hey, we're making money. This is the week. Jeff's here. All good vibes, baby. Let's go.
Let's do it.
We say that every week.
Because damn it, Matt, you got to believe
good vibes, though. You're never gonna win.
That's true. Hey, well, we do a random question, and then we're getting the hell out of here, Jeff. I know this has been a while, and we appreciate your time, dude, so much. And we can't wait to keep working with Smack and keep working with you. And anytime you're welcome back to join us, man.
Oh, I love it, man. I got to get you some shirts over to England, bro. You got some good soccer shirts.
100%.
Yeah. 100%. All right, does anybody have a random question for us? I got one in the back pocket if we need one.
Let it rip.
All right. What athlete meant the most to their city? I had this debate with a buddy. And so I can go first. I'm going to say Michael Vick to Atlanta. What he was able to do to the Falcons. Yes, they had Deion Sanders and, White Shoe Johnson, that type of stuff. But just what Michael Vick was able to put Atlanta on. And then it seems like the hip-hop culture was coming alongside him. And just the pair of them took Atlanta to the next stratosphere, it seems like. So Michael Vick is my pick. He meant the most to Atlanta.
That's a tough question.
I think I've alluded to it to one of my favorite baseball memories and just sports memories in general. But I think Mike Piazza to New York after 9/11 was huge.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a huge one. Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I mean,
Buzzkill.
I can't really follow that up. I got to do it. I don't know how much it meant to the city. It meant a lot to me. All right, Ben Wallace. I know I talk a lot about him. The most underrated defensive player in the 2000s. Ben Wallace was the epitome of the Detroit basketball team. Just gritty defense. He, stood up to Shaq. He blocked Shaq in the finals. I mean, how many players could say they put the ball back in Shaq's face? You have him doing curls before the game, and he's just like fucking yoked out of 50s, just curling that ish. Like, fear the fro, got to be Ben Wallace for Detroit.
Yeah, he stood up for the city. He said, Ron Artest, you don't punch my fans. I punch you, sir.
That's right. Malice in the palace, baby.
I think there's only one. Probably the best answer for this is is going to be Steven Gerrard for Liverpool. You know, he's a proper thick Scouser. You ever hear exactly good? You know, he's seriously a Scouser. You know, he was at Liverpool from when he was a child, probably I think when he was 6 or 7, played all the way through to when he was, you know, in 2015, captain, legend, won the Champions League with him loads of times. Did he ever win the Premier League? No. But yeah, Steven Gerrard has got to be the pick for that.
I like it.
I played against him in his first MLS game.
Oh yeah, because he was at LA Galaxy, wasn't he?
Yeah. Saved a breakaway. I have the picture. I should get it framed now that you say that.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
I didn't save a lot of guys. I didn't save a lot of the legends, but that was one of them.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna call you out, Jeff. I was gonna be like, "Hey, that was a good story. Like that turned out pretty well for Jeff, unlike the other ones he told." But
yeah, I did really well getting scored on against the good guys. Let me think. I mean, Tom Brady to Tampa, easy. I mean, that's easy for me. I'm not going deep. I'm going extremely selfish, and he put the entire city on the map because nobody cared at all about Tampa before Brady got down here, and then once he showed up, everybody's moving here and. You guys have talked about him every minute of your episode because that's exactly when he came over. So,
hey, you're not wrong. I mean, you're bringing Gronk and all the other talent coming into the city. Yeah, absolutely.
We're the best.
You even got the Lightning to win, so that's all Tom Brady.
The Lightning have never lost a playoff series when Tom Brady's been the quarterback of the Bucs.
Hey, TB12 for the win, baby. Let's go.
Fun fact.
Well, Jeff, we can't thank you enough for hopping on, dude. Anything you want to plug? Go ahead and plug away, dude. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, man, just, Smack Apparel, like you said, this obviously seems like a podcast for proper sports fans who, live and die with fan bases and, just love sports. And that's what we're all about. So follow us on Instagram at Smack Apparel. Like you said, check out the link in these guys' Instagram account. And yeah, man, just spread the love. And that's all I got. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's a lot of fun.
Hey, dude, absolutely. Welcome back anytime. And hopefully we can make down in Tampa for a boat parade. We'll meet up with you.
At least one of the 3, hopefully.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Well, watchers, listeners, we'll catch you guys next Tuesday for a wonderful 100 episode. I can't talk. And we got a special guest for that one, too. So watch the Instagram for that sneak peek. We'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Have a wonderful time.
In a bit, go well.
I love it.
Be off the air, but
Popping bombs.
Yeah, pop it, Fitz.
Thanks for hopping on, Jeff.
Yeah, of course. That was awesome, guys.
Say it.
Let's catch up soon.
Joey Chestnut has
Yeah,
to
for
be
sure,
on the
dude.
club.
All right, see you
Has
guys.
to be.
Hey, dude.
Has
to be.
Dramatic, man. That was a
Amazing
journey.
guest, man.
It's
Love
magic
having
in
Jeff on. That was
September.
awesome.
It's like one of the hottest athletes in the world.
man, I'm gonna get real theological on y'all. I think we're all a little soft and misunderstood.
Also, can you talk about those
seconds.
poppers being so shitty?
Game of baseball, but it has different rules that go along with it that
I dropped the
kind
ball.
of
I gotta get this
go
better.
behind our
confetti pop.
underlying theme of getting fans involved, keeping fans.
If I catch it
interested.
in my beer, does that still count?
10 seconds.
I can't tell if somebody's talking or.
Yeah. Oh, shit.